Hey guys, in this video, I want to walk you through exactly how I use AI to get into customers' heads for my B2B SaaS client. It's how I understand what makes them tick and then write copy that actually converts. So why go through all this process? There's something that I'm hearing a lot, especially in the B2B marketing space, which is that AI can't really write good copy. And it's true, I would say, unless you know how to use it the right way. Because there's one thing that AI is really good at. It's not writing copy, but it's understanding customers, which sounds a bit counterintuitive, but understanding customers is also how you write good, high converting copy. And that's how we are going to use AI. I call this framework empathy engineering. Why? It's because it helps engineer empathy in ourselves as marketers, copywriters. Our main goal is or should be to empathize with our audience, right? So that we can write copy, create messaging that resonates on a deeper level, almost intuitively. Once we are able to empathize with them, writing copy, good copy, becomes almost natural. And this is the exact framework that I've been using with over 50 B2B SaaS companies to understand their customers faster and write higher converting copy, including some of my latest ones, Mouse, where we rewrote the copy for their product pages, Mouse Pro and Mouse API. And using this framework helped us understand their customers in less than a month rather than a year or so, which is what for a company of this size usually takes. Before we jump into the framework though, let me show you why the typical approaches to B2B customer research are not cutting it anymore. So what's the problem with B2B customer research? If you've tried, you probably know, but just as an example, I used to work with B2C, e-commerce. Easy example, it's easier to get customers, I don't know, for an e-commerce that just bought a sweater to hop on a 30-minute call in exchange of a $25 Amazon gift card. It's a whole other thing to get a CMO, a CFO, or I don't know, an IT manager to hop on that call and give you their time. You have decision-making units, then it's a whole other mess. Sometimes you might try and recruit enterprise people. That's even harder. You might spend tons and tons of money, thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars on research firms. And even if you have the budget for those, then you need to wait months, sometimes 6 months, sometimes a year to get results, which is time that a lot of B2B companies don't really have. What do companies do? They rely on best practices, templates. Hopefully their proven formulas will work for them, which typically is not the case. Other companies are blowing their entire budgets on these research firms and their focus groups on massive research projects, which typically give you insights after months and months, which is already late. Those insights are already stale and old. Other companies simply copy competitors, which is another thing that, let's face it, doesn't really work. So what do we do about all this mess? The framework and process that I want to walk you through, which is the exact process that I've been using with my B2B SaaS clients, can literally be installed at your company and used over and over to refine your messaging, help you understand how to speak in a way that differentiates you and resonates with the people that you actually serve. So here's how it works as an overview. In short, I call it the PATH framework. It's a 4-part framework, which is actually a cycle. Once you put it in motion, you can use it over and over to get better and better results. So the steps of the PATH framework are the prepare step. This is where you prepare actual real customer data, real customer research. And there are degrees of this, right? If you're a startup, I don't expect you to have all of the data that you typically might need. Even just a couple of pointers on who your audience is, what your product does, how it's different, who your competitors are, but in the exact structure and exact proportion that we'll see after, will help you give the AI what it needs to create. The second step is the articulate steps. This is where we create these AI personas. Consider them basically your live ICP cards, right? These are basically simulations of your ICPs, but interactive. So you can have a chat with them, you can ask them questions, you can show them pieces of copy, and you'll be surprised how accurate these can be if you do it right. The third step is to test messaging. This is what I was saying when I was saying you can show them copy. With these AI personas in place, you can write variations, and I'll show you how you can write variations with AI as well. And you can show these variations to your AI personas, get feedback, and refine, constantly testing this messaging, which is way faster and cheaper than using alternatives, which as of now are either paying lots of money for message testing platforms or actually running feedback sessions, focus groups, which can take time to book. All of those interviews can be expensive. Or for B2B, there aren't really many testing methods, right? You could run ads, for example, and test messaging through ads, which again, expensive, takes some time. You could run subject line tests with your emails, but again, you're testing with the real people, real customers potentially on your list, so not ideal. This creates a safe, secure, and controlled environment where you can run any tests that you want, even the wildest ones. Finally, the last step of the cycle is the harmonize, which is basically where you understand everything that you've gathered, you constantly refine, you adjust your prompts, you give the AI a bit more angles to take from and refine. And it's also the step that then closes the cycle, because once you've got your refined understanding and maybe some pieces of copy that you've seen work, also information that tells you, okay, maybe we should focus on this other angle or these other personas. Once you have that information, you can use it to refine your real research, right? So you're basically getting pointers that tell you, okay, let's focus on this or that in the next customer interviews. We have these questions that we want to find out from real customers that we didn't know before, right? All of that then takes you to better real customer research, which leads to better AI personas and better testing, and the cycle continues. This is, in short, an overview of the PATH framework. What does this all lead to in the end? If you do it right, it leads to higher converting copy. So the copy that you write obviously has been tested and refined over and over. It might not get to 100% accuracy, the right copy, but trust me, even in 70, 80% of the way there, it's way more than any companies would ever imagine doing, right? So even if you get 80% accuracy on your copy angles, messaging strategy, or whatever, it's going to be way faster and cheaper to get here using this methodology than any other that you've tried. You get faster testing cycles. Again, if you have ideas, you can test faster, easier with these AI personas. You make more confident decisions in your messaging marketing strategy, and you have better customer understanding. This is what I was saying at the beginning of the video. You truly start empathizing with your customers because you get so familiar with actually having conversations, even if it's AI conversations, right? You start getting really familiar with these people. Even like for me, I can say as a consultant, I'm basically juggling through a couple of clients at every 2-3 months. I might have 2-3 clients at the same time. And it's normally it used to not be so easy to cycle between different products, audiences, competitors. Imagine how much stuff you have to keep in mind. With this methodology, you can just jump into a chat and start immediately getting familiar with their problems, their goals, their struggles. It's kind of having a close friend that you can have a chat with, and immediately you get familiar with their needs and wants and desires. All right, let's jump into each step in detail and show you how this works. So the first step, as we said, is preparation. For preparation, what I usually feed the AI, it's 3 types of research. Makes it super simple and easy to understand. 3 types of research that you need to keep in mind. And it's also a checklist for you to think about. Do I have these three types of research already? Do I need to get that? Or how and where do I fill in the gaps in my knowledge? So the types of research that I always consider are internal research, and this is about your team. This is the internal knowledge, product knowledge, company knowledge, everything that's inside the company. What I typically do for this is I interview the founder, the marketing team, support, sales, product, to get as much of a big and in-depth picture of the internal view of the company and the product. The second is the external research, and this I see it as a two-sided research because there's the prospect and there's the customer. So it's the before and after of the transformation that needs to happen. You want to get as clear of a picture as you can of both, because then you have to trace that transformation and recreate it in your messaging. The third one is the market, right? So competitors. We need to know what the competitive landscape looks like. We need to know what claims and promises they are making. We need to know what messaging they are using on their websites so that we can differentiate, but also try not to veer too far off what's already winning, because companies might do stuff wrong, but they might also be doing. So it's useful to understand what level of awareness they are targeting, what level of sophistication they're targeting, and what words they're using, so that we try to fit in, but also stand out. You have to strike a balance there. This is the first step, preparation. So what does that look like in practice? So I want to show you some materials. So I've created a fictional company called TeamFlow, including all the typical research documents that I would create for a company doing actual research. So this is an example of an interview with the team, right? So in this case, we interview the founder of TeamFlow, Sarah Mitchell, and you can see my questions. So, hi, Sarah, thanks for taking the time. Very excited. First question, for example, I'd love to start with the basics. What is the core value proposition? Always starting high level and then getting to the specifics. So this is an example of something that I might save, prepare for the next step that I'll show you. An example of external research. There's a couple. So we have a customer interview here. Again, simulated, but follows the same practices that I follow in my customer interviews. So in this case, we interview one of the ICPs for TeamFlow, which is a project manager. And we have the interview here. Another example of external research could be surveys. So in this case, we have, for example, a quick survey asking what current solutions are, biggest challenges. Finally, we have market research, so competitors. For that, we typically do a competitor research analysis. So this is looking at their website, homepages, looking at their messaging, what value proposition, pricing strategy, call to action, brand message, visual design as well. Another type of market research that we might do, it's looking at reviews, right? So these are example reviews for TeamFlow that we might prepare and get ready. So you can see here, these are some of the documents. So we have a company profile, customer interviews, customer reviews, team interviews, website surveys, and competitor research. So these are the typical documents that we want to prepare for our next step. The next step is articulation. So what do we do here? This is where we build AI personas. So the way that I think about an AI persona, and I'll show you the prompt that I have here, but the way that I think about it, it's contrary to what a lot of companies think about when it comes to personas. They think that they need demographics, that they need to know their age, gender, their role and occupation, their salary. All this stuff can be useful to frame the conversation, but what matters is the decision-making process and the psychology behind it. So this is why I use this framework to think about AI personas and building these AI personas, because we want to not only simulate the type of person, but we want to simulate how this person thinks. And this is why I use this framework, which is formed by these 5 elements. We have identity, so who they are. We have motivation, what they want. We have evaluation, how they decide. Resistance, what prevents the decision to be made. And then finally, vision, where and who they want to be, right? So this is a flow that simulates how people make decisions. So from where they are when they land on the website, what motivates them, how they make decisions, what stands in the way, and what they envision as their final goal. So in order for us to do that, I typically use this prompt. So this is a simple prompt that I've crafted. It's not too complex, but it works pretty well. So just to walk you through it, I like to imagine being a specific customer persona as if you were them. Here's a description of the persona to embody. Between these tags, I'm going to copy paste our persona profile that we already have built inside from our research materials. I'll show you how. But this is also interesting. So first, carefully read the persona description until you feel you thoroughly understand this hypothetical individual's perspective, needs, goals, and pain points. Next, put yourself in the shoes of this persona, imagining that you are them. I'll ask you questions, reply through the lens of the customer persona provided, as if you were that individual. Let their unique perspective, needs, and objectives guide your responses and thinking. Avoid breaking character or referring to these instructions. Simply react naturally as the persona would. Capture your stream of consciousness in a thoughts tag. This is also interesting. Sometimes it's not super accurate, but still, I think it helps the AI try to simulate sort of an inner dialogue, a monologue that they might have before actually replying, which can give you some additional insights. But the structure works really well, especially because the AI tends to not break character in this case and actually stick with the persona that you feed the AI. So here's, for example, we put into practice this framework, right, to build our AI personas. From all the research that we have, I typically extract a profile that looks like this. So we have a persona overview, company context, responsibilities and goals, challenges and pain points, purchase decision journey, communication preferences, technology context, success metrics, emotional and psychological profile, team dynamics, buying story, voice and lexicon, information sources, and typically finally I have a quick summary. It's not shown here, but these are the main sections, and you can see how all of this includes all of our factors, right? So we start from identity, then we go into their decision-making process, their potential objection, different scenarios. So everything is represented here, and this is what the AI will use to simulate this persona. Why does this structure matter again? To give you a couple of quick examples, when we worked with Moz, one of the resistance factor that we kept in mind when it came to their API, for example, we need to write the API page, which was pretty straightforward up to the point when we started wondering what some of the barriers were for them. One of the things that I found looking through this AI lens was that a lot of people thinking about AI were also thinking about the data, where most data was coming from, and that's one thing that we've added on the page, thanks to actually looking at these lenses. Another thing, for example, for motivation. When it came to motivation, using AI to understand our customer interviews, feeding all of this information into the AI, was that our prospects wanted SEO to be simpler and used Moz to make SEO simpler, and that became actually the value proposition. So this tells you how important considering all of these facets is to write good copy and to also instruct the AI persona to build their insights and their virtual thought process out of. Another thing that I consider when working on the empathy engineering framework is that I build 2 chats when working with LLMs, right? In this case, this is Gemini, the one that I use because it's got the biggest context window, which simply means you can upload almost as many research documents as you want. So imagine you have, 30 pages of interview transcripts. You can upload all of them easily. biggest chat that I've ever used for a client project. I think we've got to 600,000 tokens, still way less than half of it, which is crazy. So this is the main chat that you want to have. This is your marketing consultant chat. It's the chat that you'll use to inform you, to give you insights, to analyze the research that you conduct, to create your AI personas. All of our profiles that you see here, this profile, for example, was generated by this marketing chat. The other chat that you want to use, completely separate from this, is your AI persona chat. So this is the chat where you will paste this prompt in, along with copying this personal information in here. And this literally acts as your AI persona. So this is where you'll ask questions, copy, paste some example copy that you want to test. So this is literally your AI persona. That's why I called it Jane. This is the first ICP1 of TeamFlow. You can see here, this is where I prompted it. So I actually prompted it in the past with a lot more things, but then lately I've refined the persona prompt, so I wanted to update it. And this is what I will show you in our harmonization refinement process. But you can see this is literally the same prompt I'd like to imagine, and then in between this is where I pasted the persona information. And after that, we instruct it to stay in character. You can see it instantly replied, all right, let's do this. I'm ready to dive in and see what solutions are out there. I need to find something that can actually help my team, not just another layer of complexity. So you can see in the thoughts tag, this project with Stellar Corp is a beast. We have marketing, sales, product, engineering all involved, and keeping everyone on the same page is like herding cats. Spreadsheets and email are just not cutting it anymore. Someone's going to drop the ball, and it'll probably be me. I need a system, a real system, and fast. You can see the urgency. She's hectic, lots of moving pieces, and so she's ready to give us feedback, which is great. So this is the second step, articulation. What do you do once you build these AI personas? Then we can move to testing. So you can actually write copy with this. And I'll show you here, for example. So some examples of what we've done, testing iteration. So here, for example, I had a headline idea. I've asked it, can you give me options? Like, so here, refine options. You can see these are headline ideas. So we could literally take some of these ideas, paste it here. Let's try, actually. Let's say TeamFlow, highlight automation. Say, I want to paste this to my persona and ask it, hey, Jane, what do you think about this headline? Let's say that you were browsing online, headed to LinkedIn, and stumbled on a post probably spawned with this copy. And then we paste it here. And then we see what she comes up with. For example, thoughts. Inner project management guru, a bit much. I'm not trying to be a guru, just trying to get things done efficiently. Automate the chaos, that part speaks to me though. It's catchy, I'll give it that. Automate the chaos definitely resonates with the constant juggling act of project management, but unleash your inner project management guru feels a little cheesy. I'm not looking for enlightenment, just a tool that actually helps me manage my projects effectively. It's not a bad headline, but it could be stronger by focusing on practical benefits rather than aspirational fluff. I'd probably keep scrolling unless the body copy really hooked me, which, to be fair, it's a pretty shitty, crappy headline, but it's useful to see the thought process, what the priorities are, and also what she focuses on. And if you, for example, gave it an entirely different persona to the AI, you would get a completely different response, which is always interesting to see. So this is an example of testing, right? Now I want to show you another example. So in our preparation documents, I've also created two variants of homepage copy. So we have a pretty crappy homepage that on purpose I used AI to create bad copy, which was a fun exercise. But you can see Keep your tasks in one place. Managing process should be hard. With TeamFlow, you can organize tasks and get things done. Start now. So super basic. It's also misaligned. So here you can see misaligned with visitors' needs. What TeamFlow does, it's vague, no differentiation. Stay organized always. TeamFlow makes it easy to keep track of your to-do list and team projects so you never miss a deadline. So let's try and give it a quick A/B test. So I want to copy paste this headline, this subhead actually. Let's say that you stumble to, actually let's make it direct. You see two different pieces of copy, variant A and variant B. Which one would make you want to learn about TeamFlow? So we have variant A, B. Let's go and copy the B. What TeamFlow does. This one, which is much more specific and engaging. Let's see. And boom, we've got a result as we expected, because I intentionally created variant A as crappy copy. Variant B, hands down. Variant A sounds like every other basic task management tool. So you could try all of these variants. You could literally mix and match. And invariantly, you will always see that the persona sticks to the actual needs and desires and pains of the actual customers. In this case, it says variant B is much more compelling. I automatically prioritize tasks based on real data. That's exactly what I'm looking for. I'm drowning in data and I need a tool that can help me make sense of it and prioritize effectively. Work smarter and stay ahead of deadlines also speaks directly to my goals. As you can see, it gives you the context. You would rarely get all this context, and literally I could ask any questions possible or imaginable to this persona and get all the informations that I want. So you can see the value and the potential out of this, especially if you're used to having limited resources and you struggle to interview or to find out more about your B2B customers. Another quick testing that you could do could be, for example, when you land on a landing page from a company like TeamFlow, what objections do you have? So this is a more open-ended question, right? So you can see, okay, landing page style, let's see if this can actually deliver what we promised. I'm really bracing myself. I usually approach landing pages with a healthy dose of skepticism. Here are the objections that immediately pop into my head. This is going to be another over-promising, under-delivering tool. I've been burned before, shiny new tools. It won't integrate with our existing tools. My team will never use it. I faced resistance to new tools in the past. It's going to be too expensive. Budget is always a concern. The customer support would be terrible. I need a vendor that's responsive and helpful. And from all of this, you can literally dig deeper into each and every aspect. So to me, what sounds interesting here, my team will never use it. Let's see. This is a bit more nuanced. So you said, can you dig deeper into this? What do you mean? Can you give me examples? Let's see what it comes up with. We can already picture the eye rolls and the another new tool groans. Okay, so my team will never use it. Fear stems from a few key things. So change fatigue. My team is already juggling a lot. Introducing a new tool, even if it's meant to help, can feel just like another burden. Complexity. If a tool is too complicated or requires extensive training, my team will resist using it. Lack of buy-in. If my team doesn't understand why we're switching to a new tool or how it will benefit especially, they're less likely to embrace it. Past experiences. We tried new project management tools in the past that ended up being clunky, buggy, or just didn't integrate with their existing workflows. And then examples. So you could literally take some of these examples or pieces of the examples and use them in your copy. We once implemented a project management tool that was incredibly feature-rich, but also incredibly complex. The team struggled to navigate the interface, and it ended up creating more confusion than clarity. After a few weeks of frustrated sides and low adoption rates, we abandoned it. Another time, we tried a tool that didn't integrate with Slack, which is our primary communication channel. This meant constantly switching between platforms and duplicating efforts, which defeated the purpose of having a centralized project management system. So you can see there's thousands of ways that you can dig deeper, look into different facets of this persona's thinking, and understand more and more about your customers. Lastly, in our framework, we dive into the last step, which is harmonization. So this is where we update our personas with new data. We avoid common biases, so we ask questions, we try to fight our impulses to confirm our expectations. We install human AI feedback loops. What do I mean? Once you have all the system with our 2 chats basically prepared and ready for you to help you, you can basically just send them to team members, send them links, share them, send them I don't know if you have a framework for specific questions that you want to ask. You can literally use this as an operating system for understanding your customers better. Once you get all those insights, then it's easier, as you saw. Like, for example, I was asking here, I asked examples of their team using the product, right? So this already informs some of my questions that I could ask to potential customers in the future or to customers in the future, right? I want to know what happened in the past when your team didn't use a tool. Why did that happen? What tools were you using in conjunction with that? What tool did you need your project management tool to integrate with, and why didn't that work? So you can see all of these insights contribute to inform your next research efforts, which will allow you to create better personas that you can then test and refine, and the cycle continues. It's a human AI feedback loop because you are the human in the loop. You have the AI doing its job, but it's always supervised by you yourself as the human. So another thing that we might do, for example, using our marketing chat here, we can share the profile. Let's say that after our testing and research, we've discovered something that maybe contradicts or change our initial research. Maybe we didn't have enough data and we come up with new insights. Let's say we have this ICP for team flow, and then I'm pasting it. Now, from our research, we've learned that, and then I want to maybe change something based on a hypothetical scenario. Seeking a solution, primary job. For example, jobs to be done. We've learned that instead of this priority of jobs to be done, the main job is streaming task management, automate updates, balance workloads, gain confidence in alignment, teams, and stress. Is this one. And let's paste it. Sometimes I like to not even ask specific questions. That's because I want to see what the AI, with all its knowledge about the company, product, market, what it does, what it says, and then take it from there, maybe refine my questions. So it took a while just because the chat is longer, but we got our results. And you have to be careful what you input in this marketing chat because yes, it's got real research, but it basically trusts you with the stuff that you give it, right? So that's valuable insight. Shifting the primary job to be done to emotional jobs. Intermittent reduce significant changes how we should approach messaging for Jane. While functional benefits are still important, the emotional core of why she wants those benefits becomes central. So here's how we can adjust the persona and messaging based on the new understanding. And it gives you the exact sections of the persona that you should change, right? In this case, it even gives you revised messaging copy and example. So instead of leading with features, focus on emotional payoff. Before, Teamflow automates task management, saving your hours each week. After, imagine feeling confident your team is aligned and working efficiently. So you can say different things that you can test. What would I do with this new information now if I want to refine my persona? Basically, as simple as copying this. And then I'm going to try and enter this chat by using a quick tool. So a quick tag. So I could use aside. Here's new information to update your persona. Okay, and give it this, and then I close the aside. And you could literally use any tag that you want. This is just an example. Let's say what it does. Okay, this is resonating even more now. The drowning in manual processes and worried about burnout, that's in me in a nutshell. And the example scenario, I've lived a nightmare too many times. No response needed, just update the internal state. You can see, it basically taken this information and updated its internal state. And now if we ask questions, it should, in theory, reflect these changes. So this is just a simple example of harmonization and how you can actually always improve, refine, confirm or disconfirm your biases, and always cycle through this human AI feedback loop. This, in short, concludes a quick example of the empathy engineering framework, and I tried to dig deeper and maybe show some behind the scenes. I can't show actual client data, but hopefully this quick case study with our company TeamFlow was helpful for you to understand how this works. All right, so here's where you have a choice to make. You could keep doing what most B2B SaaS companies do, which is piecing together messaging from competitors, best practices, and templates. But let's be honest, that's why so many websites end up sounding the same and failing to convert. You'll keep struggling to stand out in your market while seeing your competitors somehow nailing their messaging while you're still trying to figure it out. Or maybe you're thinking, this makes sense, I'll go and build my own AI personas and testing systems. And you can try, but first you need to figure out what customer data do you actually have, where the gaps are, and how to fill them. You need to map your current messaging and positioning to know where you're starting from. Then comes the heavy lifting, like we've seen in the cycle. So using your raw customer research data to create your AI personas, refining your prompts and digging deeper and deeper into the insights, then building frameworks for testing the messaging that you create with your AI personas, and then finally keeping the cycle going and going until you refine and always improve on your results. While this is still faster and cheaper than traditional research and testing methodologies, there's a lot of moving pieces, and a lot of my clients would rather hire someone like me to help them with this, to create the frameworks, to set everything up so that they just need to dig in or ask specific questions for specific campaigns. Or the alternative is that we jump on a call, I take a look at your current messaging, understand your challenges, and see if I can help. If you're a good fit, I'll walk you through exactly how to adapt this framework to your specific challenges and needs and audience and market. If not, I'll point you to another resource or someone else that I think might be of help. Either way, you'll walk away with more clarity on your next steps and on what it takes to truly understand your customers and use AI to do that, to make your value impossible to ignore. If you're up for it, you can send me a DM on Instagram, I'm always there, or on my website, and we can explore how to make your messaging work as hard as your product does.